What's going on, everyone? So Los Angeles Lakers are favored to land Brandon Ingram via a trade. A lot of that is because he recently signed with Clutch Sports. Now, he won't be official till I think it's a 15-day waiting period, which kind of lines up to the December 15th, right? Like that's when, guys like Jonas Valanciunas, even a couple Laker guys that could potentially be a part of a trade, they could officially send out, right? That's kind of like the unofficial beginning of the trade season, right? Dating all the way into February. Brandon Ingram is a guy that does make a lot of sense for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't think Brandon Ingram by himself is the cure-all, right? I don't think Brandon Ingram by himself, now the Lakers are the best team in the NBA, but I do think he is a guy that could really make an impact for the Lakers, right? I've talked heavily about the Lakers really needing kind of like that third guy, that reliable night in and night out third guy that even on a bad night, he's going to give you, 15 plus, right? Can do multiple things on the basketball court, help rebounding, help make some plays, help score the basketball, help close down the stretch, take pressure off of LeBron James, take pressure off of Anthony Davis. I mean, you've seen it even in the games that the Lakers have won, right? Like LeBron James and Anthony Davis are giving us like 60 combined just to give us a chance to win, right? You don't know on any given night which guy is going to show up, right? You don't know is D'Lo going to show up tonight, or is he going to be just unplayably bad, right? Is Austin Reeves going to show up tonight, or is he going to be unplayably bad? Or is Rui going to show up tonight, right? Like go down the list of this roster and go down the list of this team, and it's just like you don't know and you can't trust that on a nightly basis guys are going to bring it. I mean, look at the Miami Heat game. I mean, that was embarrassing. Right? Like that was a disaster. And there's this thought of like, okay, like they're not showing up. They're not being competitive. They're not trying out there. Is it that? Or is it just they're just not good? Right? They're not consistently good on a nightly basis. You don't have the athleticism. You don't have the athletes. You don't have the defense. You don't have the things needed to compete on a nightly basis. Yeah, when guys are cooking, Dalton Connect's going and giving you 37, or, D'Lo's dropping 25, or Reeves giving you 25, or Rui's cooking, right? Like, yes, on any given night, you could get that production amongst them, because they are still NBA players, to where you can win a couple games. Or, if you're playing a bad team, right, LeBron and Anthony Davis collectively giving you 60, and everyone else chipping in, getting you to 115 points or whatever, you got enough to win. But they can't do it on a nightly basis. That's the problem, right? You don't have that consistency. And if LeBron has a bad night or AD has a bad night, that's it. You're cooked, right? Because you can't rely on anyone else to pick it up on a nightly basis. Where, a guy like Brandon Ingram, if you had Brandon Ingram against Miami, right? I don't know if you actually beat Miami because they just ran through us. But even if Anthony Davis played the way that he played, well, LeBron gave you 29. If Brandon Ingram gives you, 20, 25, because Anthony Davis just doesn't have it tonight, and it's like, here, Ingram, I need your help, and Ingram's out there, and he's wheeling and dealing, and he's cooking, and he's, impacting on the defensive side, and he's helping to rebound, so you're not giving up all these offensive rebounds and stuff, right? Like, now you just have that other guy that you can rely on. And then when all three are playing well, you're winning all those games, right? And then, it also drops the pecking order, right? So now Reeves isn't your third best player. Now Reeves is your fourth best player. Right? Dalton Connect doesn't have to be your third or fourth best player. Now he gets to be your fifth, sixth, seventh best player, right? Like dropping down the pecking order helps in and of itself, right? Problem is that the Lakers they don't have the athletes. They don't have the pieces necessary, right? Like D'Angelo Russell, if he's not shooting the lights out, he's essentially unplayable. Austin Reeves, if he's not scoring and he's not giving you, 18 to 25, essentially unplayable. He's turning the ball over. He doesn't handle ball pressure well, right? He's not consistent shooting the basketball. He's not a great shooter, right? Like you have these guys, but the problem is they're not athletic, right? You see a lot of teams. They just can't shoot, can't score, right? Some of these games that the Lakers have even won, right? Like the other team, they just can't score. They're struggling to knock down shots, but they're still competitive. They're still in the games. How? Because they have the athleticism. They have the pieces and the players that you can't buy a bucket, but you can get after it defensively or generate second chance points because I just have to win a foot race against Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reeves, right? Like you can impact the game in other ways, right? You look at all these young teams. These young teams are usually, towards the top of the standings. Why? Because they're a bunch of young athletes that are just out there running. right? And they have the athleticism. Even when they have a bad night, they can still score. You still need those stars to carry you on a nightly basis. You still need those stars to win championship stuff. Like, that's why you usually see a lot of these young teams just fizzle, right? Like, and obviously they have to have talent, but look at teams like, Houston and how good they're playing. They don't even have like a top, 10, 15 guy, but they have a bunch of really good athletes. They have a bunch of really good, talented players that can defend. And when they're not hitting shots, they can still impact the game in other ways. They can get out in transition. They can do all those things. You don't have that on the Lakers, right? Like, who, outside of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who are your athletes? Jared Vanderbilt, he's hurt. Cam Reddish, okay, but he gives you nothing offensively. Dalton Connect's really athletic, but he doesn't give you anything defensively. He's a rookie. He's going to have his good nights and his bad nights, and he's on a quite the struggle right now. Right? Like, you go down Max Christie, he's been really good and impactful in multiple ways, but he's not a guy that you can count on to give you 15 a night. Right? Like, it's just, you go down the list and it's like they're either guys that you can't count on or one-dimensional, or they're just not athletic at all, or they're hurt in like Jared Vanderbilt's case, or even Jackson Hayes, right? Like, that's a big problem. And so the Lakers, they need those athletes. I've talked about it. Look at most of the rebounds that the Lakers are giving up. It's not on the interior, right? Anthony Davis usually cleans it up. It's the balls that get behind Anthony Davis. It's the balls that, because teams are jacking up and shooting 43s a game. Miami just set another three-point record. Literally franchise record. Right? Because teams just shoot a bunch of threes because they know we're going to be able to win a foot race against these guys. If there's a 50-50 ball, guess what? We're going to win it 9 times out of 10 because we just have the athletes. Well, now if you start getting guys like a Brandon Ingram and you go get a Dorian Finney-Smith, you start getting these guys that can defend and can play multiple positions, or like a Brandon Ingram and a Bruce Brown or something, right? I've seen a lot of people that like, Bruce Brown, what is he going to give you? He's going to give you athleticism, point of attack defense, rebounding, sought him in multiple spots, right? He's comfortable in this type of offensive system, right? Like, he brings you a lot. What does Brandon Ingram give you? Gives you defense, gives you athleticism, gives you versatility out on the wing. He can slot in 2 through 4 for you, right? He can defend essentially 1 through 4 for you. He's a guy that can go get you, 20 to 25 on a nightly basis. I mean, he's doing it even alongside guys like CJ McCollum and Zion Williams and stuff like that. He's going to do it on efficiency. He's going to help you rebound. I mean, the guy's, 23 6-6 guy or 23 6-5 guy. We don't have a guy on this roster outside of LeBron James and Anthony Davis that can give you that. Brandon Ingram would immediately be your third best player. Brandon Ingram would immediately, on any given night, could be your second, even some nights when he's really cooking, be your first best player, right? Like, he could be your option. If he's just got it going, right? Feed the hot hand. Give it a hey, go for it. LeBron can then play his, Magic Johnson role. He kind of take a step back. He's going to go get his 20s in spots, right? Like, you're not worried about him, just being aggressive. How many times have we seen him have like 7 at halftime? And then you look up and you're like, LeBron had 30? He scored 23 in the second half. And it's like, oh, he did, right? Like, it happens all the time, right? So I'm not against getting Brandon Ingram. I've talked about Brandon Ingram, obviously Zach LaVine. I'm a big Zach LaVine guy. Why? Because these are athletes that can fill in, plug in a major role. They are the highest ceiling raisers that are available right now. They do multiple things on the court. I do like Zach LaVine as a more natural fit. Brandon Ingram's a guy that I do kind of worry about the fit with him and LeBron, but I do think at this point it's worth the risk. And it's kind of a win-win for the Lakers, right? Because you go and you trade for Brandon Ingram. If he's great, you just re-sign him, right? I don't see him getting $40 million anywhere. I don't. But you could sign him to, 4 years, $120 million, right? LeBron James was willing to take $20 million less to go get a Klay Thompson or, a DeMar DeRozan or a Valanciunas. Brandon Ingram's better than all 3 of those guys, right? And so you don't think he'd take a discount then? And not just that, but if you go get a Brandon Ingram, and let's say you sign him to 4 years, $120 million, you immediately drop $6 million off the cap because he's not making $36 million a year, he's making $30 million a year. Then you go have LeBron take, $20 million less or $30 million less, and you go free up your full mid-level exception, do all that stuff. If it doesn't work out and Brandon Ingram doesn't work, you just let him walk. Just let him go. Right? Or if he's like adamant about like, hey, I want the $40 million, then fine, good luck to you. Like when you come back, it's $25 million a year now. Right? Like whatever, right? Like, and if it doesn't work, you let him go and you have a bunch of cap space. You have a bunch of flexibility. again, LeBron James you clear $36 million off your books if he walks. LeBron James could take another $20 million less. He can take $40 million. Like, you can take whatever you want, right? Like, you have a bunch of guys that may end up being available this offseason. Obviously, with the new CBA and teams' abilities to re-sign guys before free agency, some of those guys will probably be off the market, but some of them might not. I mean, Kyrie could be available next season. I don't really want to get into the Kyrie conversation right now. If that becomes an option in the offseason, we'll talk about it. But it is. It's something like he might just go, hey, like LeBron is willing to take a discount. I go to LA where I originally wanted to go, play alongside LeBron and AD, and make $30 million a year, right? Like what he's making in Dallas right now, right? Like he could easily do that. So you'd have options, you have flexibility there. So I don't hate the idea of Brandon Ingram. Again, it's not. I personally, I would prefer Zach LaVine, although you could argue that Brandon Ingram might give you more flexibility now in the long term, right? And you could argue maybe Brandon Ingram with a guy like Anthony Davis going forward may end up being better just because of the size, length, and versatility. But I don't really buy Ingram as your second option. I don't really buy, Zach I think is best as a third option too. But no, I think you get more flexibility with Ingram. There's pros and cons for both, for sure. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think yes, go get Brandon Ingram? Do you think no, stay away from Brandon Ingram? He's not the answer. If you get a Brandon Ingram, Dorian Finney-Smith, and then like a Day'Ron Sharpe or something like that. Now you're going like Reeves, Ingram, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron AD, and you have like Day'Ron off the bench and stuff. I think you're in good shape, personally. But anyway, good. How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.